How do you handle valley seasons in your life? How do you handle valley seasons in your life? So, if you think about it, the definition of a valley is a low point between two high points, right? You'll never look into a flat field and say, "Oh, there's a random valley there." Like it can't exist that way. It's precursor or like conditions needed has to be again. It's the byproduct of two high places with a low point in between. But see, what I keep seeing is a lot of people are in the low point, and the temptation is to believe you'll always be there. It's just not true. Like we just said, it's a low point between two high points. So another high point is on the way. But I know my problem has been I'm really impatient. And I'm not just impatient, I have memories. And the memories that I have are of my last high point. And it's almost like the memories of that last high point are what set the timetable that I believe things should be happening under. And so, even though the truth is the only thing I have agency over is how I handle this moment, the now, here comes a level of anxiety and stress because I've now attached a doomsday countdown timer to the low point because I'm processing it all through the lens of how long is this going to take? I should be out of this by now. I shouldn't be here. I should be somewhere else, on and on and on. But I want to encourage you that, especially if you're following after God, I think there's a discrepancy in how the geometry of a valley looks to us versus to the Most High. Because, see, for us, we think a valley is perfectly symmetrical, right? So think of the letter V. We're in this low point, we remember this high point, and so we're saying it should only take X amount of time to get out of the valley into the next high point. Hopefully, this is resonating. I know that's how I would process things. And in fact, because it's taking longer than I think, oh, now I'm emotional. Now I'm upset. Now I'm angry with God because I did the thing and you're supposed to do this thing and you didn't do it. So I can't trust you. I mean, these may not be conscious thoughts, conscious conversation. Somewhere in the background and the subconscious, oh, it's running. This is what my emotions would suggest. I'm ruminating on. That's why I'm frustrated. There's a misalignment of expectation, right? That's the birthplace of all conflict. I thought it's supposed to be this, it's that. Now we got an issue. We're at an impasse. But I want to encourage you that while, yes, the definition still stands, a valley is a low point between two high points. I don't think, from God's perspective, it ever is like a perfect V. I think it's more like a hockey stick, right? Like one of these where, yeah, we're at this low point and we remember this high point. But because God is always trying to take us to maturity, to wholeness, from glory to glory, then the idea is all that you're going through down here, it's meant to grow you, mature you, strengthen you, so that when He takes you to up here, you have the right character, the right foundation, the right maturation, understanding, wisdom to be able to manage the blessing that's at this new level. And so how silly is it to be screaming, we should be there by now, to a place you've never been to? To be saying we're making horrible time and you have no idea where you're going. It doesn't make sense. But it does stand to reason that it may suggest, at least it did for me, my lack of trust in God. At least when I entered the valley. But after spending time in that low place, letting that rough season myself, albeit roughly, well, there's a newfound level of awareness, dependence, and even trust, because some of the things you had up here, you don't have when you're down here. So there's a recalibration of your internal systems, of what do you rely on, what do you stand on. And I think a byproduct of that, when it's time to come out, when it's done, is there's a level of patience and trust that precludes your ascension to that next level. And I think if we can just learn to stand in the tension, we would see a familiar pattern, which is the same one that muscle growth follows: time under tension. It's necessary for growth. So, as always, every time I show up on your feed, I don't just want to show up on there. I want to give you something to feed on. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.